George Clooney and Brad Pitt's new movie Wolves is on Apple TV Plus September 27th.
That's where I want you to be now.
So if you want to see George Clooney and Brad Pitt, go to Apple TV Plus.
You got to start the story there.
Or if you want to see Brad Pitt and George Clooney, go to Apple TV Plus.
I am enjoying the show.
And if you want to see their new movie Wolves,
You can't do it, I'm going to help you out. I can do it, so do it.
definitely go to Apple TV Plus.
Admit it, it's cool. Okay, fine, it was very cool.
Wolves, streaming September 27th on Apple TV Plus. Rated R.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes per detail.
Hiring for your small business? If you're not looking for professionals on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. That's like looking for your car keys in a fish tank. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even visit other leading job sites. So start looking in the right place. With LinkedIn, you can hire professionals like a professional. Post your free job on linkedin.com/qualify today.
Hello and welcome to ZPG Ice Maidens, the only dedicated Women's National Ice Hockey League podcast.
Part of the ZPG network of UK ice hockey podcasts.
We're in partnership with the Hockey Archive, hockey clothing for hockey people, worn by the best
and hated by the rest.
Listen to the ZPG network.
Get a 10% discount on everything
at hockeyartclothing.co.uk.
Just enter the code ZP10 on checkout to get your discount.
We're also part of the Sports Social Podcast Network,
the biggest sports podcast network in Europe,
boasting over 450 podcasts
for more than 15 different sports.
Hello and welcome to our first episode of the new season. The Elite League gets underway this weekend, so what better time than to begin our season's preview right there. We also have other news that's been happening around the WNIHL, as well as hearing from Whitley-based Sally Hinton, where she talks us through her life away from the rink. But first, let's take a look at Game 1, where Guildford Lightning will be getting their campaign underway when they host the Solihull Vixens. The West Midlands side swept the regular season series 4-0, with them also meeting on the opening weekend of last season at the Spectrum as well. The Vixens went on to claim a 6-3 win on that occasion, with Katie Henry grabbing a hat-trick, Grace Garbutt netting 4 points, and Jodie Ollerson-Smith coming away with 3. Isla Hobbins also scored and was one of 4 players to have a multiple-point game. Beth Hill, Jess Jones and Alice Jones found the net for Guildford. The sides met again in January, with the Vixens making a winning start to the new year after a 1-6-2 at home. Local girl Billy Thacker opened the scoring, but Jess Jones netted a swift equaliser with barely 4 minutes on the clock. Vixens would work themselves back into the lead with a pair of goals from Sarah Hutchinson and a brace from Katie Henry. Jodie Ollerson-Smith scored a power play goal in the third period before Guildford's Margot Sear netted with just over a minute remaining. The third meeting took place in March, and that was a much different story. Solihull had to work hard for a 4-3 win, taking the lead 3 times, but on each occasion Guildford equalised. Maddie Wright, Laura Horwood and Jodie Ollerson-Smith all put the Vixens ahead during the game, but Evie Lawrence and Annie Kadievich twice levelled for the Lightning. Jodie Ollerson-Smith converted a power play in the final 5 minutes for what proved to be the game winner. The last regular season meeting came at the beginning of May, with the Vixens claiming a 6-1 road win. Katie Henry returned from injury and wasted little time in asserting herself on the game as she scored as part of a 4-point game. Jodie Ollerson-Smith scored twice, while the third member of the Vixens' top line, Laura Horwood, also found the net. The trio combining for 13 points. Anna Badui and Alicia Potts also found the net. Ellie Shaw, who made her Elite League debut for the Lightning, netted on the power play to mark a memorable day for the Swindon-born defender. The most dramatic meeting was, though, during the Elite League playoffs in June. Solihull Vixens started the game well and soon had an early lead 3 minutes in. Faith Laverty fired a shot in on net from distance, which came back off a Guildford defender, only for it to fall to Anna Badoui to fire home from the right wing side. The Lightning equalised with less than 13 minutes remaining. A shot from Anya Kadajevic went through a fierce and physical battle in front of the net, with Evie Lawrence doing a great job screening Vixens goalie Kayla Poole. The puck went under Kayla's arm and landed behind her for Ellie Porter to tap over the line. Guildford then scored what they thought was a dramatic late winner. Solihull entered the zone with Jess Sprules, but some great defending from May Sullivan saw her launch a long pass down the ice just in front of the onrushing Alice Jones, who stole in behind the defence for a breakaway, as she jumped into play on a change. Once Alice was one-on-one with Kayla Poole, she had time to pick her spot and opted to go top shelf glove side, which popped the water bottle off the top of the net. 16 seconds later, the Vixens were back level. Jodie Alderson-Smith shot from distance, with Anna Badoui able to get a redirect on Marley Easton's doorstep to get the puck in the net. Solihull netted the winner a minute 59 into overtime. From a face-off, Sarah Hutchinson picked out Katie Henry at the back post with a stretch pass. Katie had time to compose herself before firing high into the roof of the net for the goal which put her side in the final. After 3 straight league titles, the Vixens just missed out on making it 4. But how they even managed to get that close, considering the injuries they suffered, is testament to the quality they have on their roster. Once again, Jodie Alderson-Smith led the league in scoring with 27 goals and 50 points. That's 20 more than the next highest scorer. The GB captain's partnership with Laura Horwood and Katie Henry saw the trio combine for 51 goals and 108 points over the course of the campaign. It would have been more but for an unfortunate collarbone injury to Katie, who had to miss 7 games as she recovered from an operation. The good news for the Vixens is that all 3 have returned and will continue to be the most productive line in the league. The signing of Alicia Potts last season on a 2-way from Sheffield proved to be inspired as she scored on her Elite League debut against Whitley Bay, and she will return for a second season at Hobbs Moat Road. The bad news is that they have something of a rebuild on their hand for secondary scoring relief. Grace Garbett, who is usually second in league scoring to Jodie, missed 11 games through 4 separate injury problems and has since signed a pro contract with Austrian side Lakers Carnton in the European Women's Hockey League. Grace guaranteed goals, and those will be hard to replace. Saffron Allen could only make 2 appearances before a scheduled operation meant the end of her season before it had really even got started, with Hannah Maurice restricted to just 6 games. Both now appear to have retired, while GB international Isla Hobbins returned home to Canada after just 2 games. That's a lot of forward talent to lose, especially all at once, and it decimated the depth the Vixens once had, compared to, say, just a year earlier. Further disappointment arrived in the form of talented Australian forward Anna Badoui, who has returned home over the summer, signing with Sydney Sirens. Anna offered the kind of second-line depth the Vixens desperately needed, with leadership and, of course, those important goals in the playoff semi-final. Of the other players to return, Peyton Fincher was another to impress last season, and her temporary promotion to the top line in place of Katie Henry worked well, while Billy Thacker scored some crucial goals last season when given the opportunity. Erin Roach and Jess Sprules were brought in last season, and both made their mark. And again, both will be looking to some extended ice time this season. 5 new forwards have been brought in, perhaps the most high-profile of which is that of Robin Mullen. The Nova Scotia-born centre has scored goals for fun in Division 1 with the Nottingham Vipers over the past few seasons, but with her last appearance in the Elite League coming over 2 years ago with Kingston, it appears the Canadian wants to give the Elite League another crack once again. Robin is undoubtedly a fantastic player, and will offset some of what the Vixens have lost over the past few months. Paige Breen comes in on a 2-way deal from Bristol, while Sheffield youngster Eva Solossi arrives on a similar deal from the Shadows. Katie Anderton, who last played with Milton Keynes, and Hannah Beaumont, who represents the RAF Falcons team, complete the forward lineup. Defensively, the Vixens look much the same as they did last season. Sarah Hutchinson remains one of the best and dominant defenders in the league. Her 9 points from the blue line last year led all defenders on the team. Megan Burton and Maddie Wright continue to be reliable partners alongside Sarah, while Hannah Ware's conversion from forward has also proved more than effective. Youngster Faith Laverty was another to have impressed last year and is one of several exciting young defenders in the WNIHL right now. There were arguments for her inclusion in the GB Under-18 squad, and given her form and talent, was perhaps unlucky to just miss out. The experienced Lucy Lickman has decided to retire ahead of the new campaign, but in her place is former Swindon junior Ellen Pereira-Murray on a two-way deal from Bristol. With Michelle Franklin announcing her retirement before last season had even finished, and Scarlett Richardson concentrating on playing in the men's league, the Vixens' new number one is the highly rated Kayla Poole. Although only appearing in 4 league games for the Vixens last year, Kayla posted a 1.25 goal against average and a 95.6 save percentage, and was in hot form during the playoffs, making crucial saves in both the semi-final and the final itself, earning her the Goalie All-Star award. Coming in to back her up is Nottingham-based Kira Daniel, who has experience with both Kingston and Leeds in Division 2 and at under-16 level. It was all changed for Guildford Lightning last summer when top-scoring pair Louise Adams and Megan Stouts moved on, ushering in something of a rebuild. However, 2 veterans who remained were Beth Hill and Anya Kadievich, who did most of the damage offensively for the team last year. The pair combined for 25 goals and 48 points, and have looked to threat for the Lightning whenever they have been on the ice. GB international Beth is traditionally a defender, but is amongst the best snipers in the league. Croatian-born Anya is now in her 3rd season with the Lightning and is an equally skilled scoring threat. Usually completing the top line is Jess Jones, who returned from her year playing in North America to chip in with 9 points last year and scored a great late equaliser against Whitley Bay back in February. Not all of the Lightning's success can be put down to their top line though. A lot of that falls to their core group of youngsters who made names for themselves last year. Sadly, the hard-working Abby Minter is taking a year off from hockey as she concentrates on university, and outstanding talent Margot Sear has signed with Ironbound in New York, where she will link up with Ellen Reese. The Lightning can welcome back Katie Edgington after injury curtailed her season last time out, and she missed a double playoff appearance along with Bristol. Edge is a goal-scoring machine and will likely be paired with Alice Jones, who netted that exciting breakaway goal in June's playoff semi-final. Cara Jones is another option to play alongside her after spending some time on the second line last season as well, while hard-working Keely Walsh and the returning Hannah Ingledew, who missed the second half of last season, will also be in contention on that line. Guildford's third line, if indeed you can even call it that, is equally strong as the first two. Evie Lawrence was actually 4th in team scoring last season and has confidence to belie her age. Fellow Chelmsford junior Izzy Szynska also knows how to put the puck in the net, while Bristol Huskies forward Mila Peroni complements what is one of the most exciting young trios in the league. All 3 are expected to have great futures in the game, and all 3 had standout performances during the playoffs. Former Slough Sirens forward Ella Stelska and Laura Sear both made their breakthrough into the team last season, and return again as they look to continue their development. 3 new additions have been announced to the Lightning's forward ranks. Leonie Charles returns to the ice after 2 years away. She last played for the Queen Bees in 2022, but is expected to bring energy to the lineup and an ability to shoot the puck on net. Josie Clark-Payette moves across from Queen Bees after impressing with the Fire Bees in recent seasons. Josie is a dedicated and hard-working player who is going to bring a lot of speed and skill to the Lightning lineup, while Izzy Eggington makes the same journey from the Slough-based Queen Bees and will be looking for more Elite League ice time after impressing with the Fire Bees in Division 1. As proved on many occasions last year, the Lightning will outskate any team in the league. With Beth Hill now at home as a forward, the top defensive pairing sees Ellie Porter and Zara Berwick line up together. Both have represented GB at under 18 level, and they are arguably the best young defensive pairing in the league. Both play with boundless energy and read the game well, while Zara certainly knows the way to goal, as shown with her last-minute equaliser at the Spectrum against the Beacons back in April. Josie Lamy and Sam Payne can boast a great deal more experience and were part of the Lightning's playoff victory in Widnes 2 years ago. They will be tasked with pairing off with two more youngsters, May Sullivan and Kiva Parsons. While Ali Emery is a welcome return following her maternity leave, Aurora Dobbs comes in after a great performance with the London Capitals in the Under-16s playoffs. And Holly Cornford arrives down south from Kingston to add more experience and expertise on what is a vastly talented blue line. In goal, Guildford can rely on Marley Rawul Easton, who made close to 600 saves in 18 games last season. Marley looked near unbeatable at times and can make it difficult for the best snipers in the league. Backing her up will be Kira Waddington, who starred for the Chelmsford Rattlesnakes last season as they clinched the Under-16s championship. Phoebe Chavalar remains with the Lightning, but as a coach, and isn't expected to play at all this year. Sunday sees the Whitley Bay Beacons play their home opener against the Kingston Diamonds. The two northern sides met on the final day of last season and open up this one against each other too, but there isn't usually a great deal separating them. The Diamonds perhaps took the most comprehensive win back in October when they claimed a 5-2 win at home in the first meeting. GB international Katie Marsden was in unstoppable form as she led her side to victory. Katie was one of the scorers along with limemate Kiana Tate, Cassie McGregor, who was on loan from Solway, and Lydia Lutwich, who netted twice. Abby Coulshaw and Becky Castlewood responded for the Beacons. They wouldn't meet again until March. This time the game took place at Hillheads in what was the most exciting contest of the four. The momentum swung from one side to the other, with the game only being settled inside the final 40 seconds. The Hall Bay side had the better of the earlier exchanges, outshooting their host 22-13 in that first period, and would be ahead at 5:46. Kiana Tate, who had gone close moments before, put home Lizzie Saunders' rebound to give the Diamonds the lead. But the Beacons never stopped trying to work their way back into the contest. They would be rewarded with 4.7 seconds left in the opening session when Louise Adams demonstrated her quick transition game. Her shot was blocked, but Abby Coulshaw was on hand to put home a rebound, and the Beacons were back level going into the first break. The second period was a lot more evenly matched, and the Beacons would have their first lead of the game just after the midpoint, when Casey Trowell split the Diamonds' defence with an exceptional pass that found Coulshaw. The Beacons' captain took it to her right on her backhand before picking the puck up on her forehand and finishing top shelf in the opposite corner for one of the goals of the season. The lead would only last for 4 minutes though. Katie Marsden got her side back level when she cut in from her off wing to go past two players and fire into the net on the blocker side. The Beacons began strong in the third period and would retake the lead almost 8 minutes in. The top line of Steph Towns, Abby Coulshaw and Louise Adams combining well once again for the latter to score the go-ahead goal. After cutting in from the right wing boards, Adams fired home, having initially collected the puck from behind the net for another great goal. Again, the Beacons' lead didn't last for long. Diamonds were back level when Katie Marsden stole the puck at centre ice, rode a couple of challenges before firing past a stranded Megan Craig to tie the game with 6 minutes to go. The GB international would have a hand in the Diamonds' winner too. Her stretch pass bounced over Casey Trowell's stick and fell perfectly for the lightning-fast Mia Forbes, who finished expertly to give her side the winning goal with 37 seconds to go. The Beacons then ended their campaign by playing the Diamonds twice in a fortnight, claiming a 4-1 win on the road with a Steph Towns double and single markers from Abby Coulshaw and Casey Trowell. Beth Diascoon responded for the Diamonds. Then the Beacons celebrated the news of their survival in the Elite League for another year by clinching a 3-1 win on home ice. Captain Abby Coulshaw netted twice, with Danielle Turnbull also finding the net. Clara Ashton scored for Kingston as they look forward to a first playoff appearance for some time. Since that last meeting, there have been some changes to both rosters. Two stalwarts of the Kingston Diamonds family have taken the difficult decision to move on this season. Holly Cornford and Beth Diascoon have been part of the Kingston Diamonds blue line for several years, and the legacy they leave behind is the club that you see today. Their unfaltering loyalty, competitive spirit and commitment has shaped the culture of the whole club and will continue to do so. Both players were fantastic leaders, and although they have a void with their departures, they have also nurtured natural leaders throughout the club who are ready to take the Kingston Diamonds to that next level. Katie Marsden led the Diamonds in scoring again last season with 30 points in 15 games, tallies only bettered by Solihull's Jodie Alderson-Smith. The GB International made her Diamonds debut in 2021-22 after 3 years playing in Canada with the Ontario Hockey Academy, followed by a further 2 with Trinity College in NCAA Division 3. Hessel-born Katie, who usually lines up on the left wing onto the top line for club and country, is a hard-working player and very influential. She missed parts of her first season with the club through injury, but still averaged almost 2 points a game. Last year saw Katie joined by Lizzie Saunders and Kiana Tate on the Diamonds' top line. Lizzie, a former Sutton Sting junior, made her Elite League debut with Sheffield Shadows in 2016-17. She would remain with the Steel City club until 2019-20, where she also split her time with then Elite League side Nottingham Vipers. Having bagged 14 points for the Diamonds last season, her form was rewarded with a call-up to the GB senior side, where she netted against Latvia. This season sees Lizzie sign with Sutton Sting men's team, as well as ice in what will be her 4th season with the Diamonds. Kiana is one of many players to have come through the Diamonds system, starting out with the under-16s team in 2012-13 before making her senior debut in 2016-17. Kiana is an excellent two-way player who proved to be something of an expert shutdown forward last season, making life difficult for other sides' top offensive players. Kiana also has a knack for coming up with important goals, as well as being one of the top defensive players at the club. This will be Kiana's 8th season of playing in the Elite League, while she also combines that with starring for the Diamonds B team in Division 1 as well. Like Kiana, Beverley-born Danny Newlove has spent her whole hockey life in Hull. From starting out with the Diamonds under-16 side in 2011-12 to her senior debut with the Diamonds B team in 2016-17. Danny made her elite debut the following year and heads into her 7th season with the club. Last season saw Danny appear on all 3 of the elite forward lines, as well as starring on the Division 1 side's top unit. Danny is another player who works hard and can hustle opponents. Outside of the top line, the Diamonds can call on some exceptional young talent. Lydia Lutwich is a goal-scoring machine, netting 8 times in the Elite League last year, and will look to carry that form into a new season with her. Lydia comes from a strong hockey family, with her 2 brothers having played for Blackburn Hawks in recent years. Lydia is a strong skater, both with and without the puck, and has confidence beyond her years. Lydia will also line up for Bradford Bulldogs under-18s once again this season. Playing alongside Lydia for most of her hockey-playing career is Mia Forbes. Mia, who is a good skater and strong on the puck, is the new record holder for the most points in a season, following her scoring exploits during 2023-24. Mia played Elite, Div 1 and Under-16s last year with a combined 44 games, plus a further 6 at the Sheffield tournament where she netted 2 game winners. In a total of 50 games, Mia netted 70 goals and 33 assists for 103 points, which is a truly incredible achievement. Of those 70 goals, 11 of them were game winners. Mia, along with her Diamonds teammate Grace Cooper, were involved at the World Selects Invitational Trophy in Hungary over the summer. The competition provides the top players in the world an opportunity to compete at an international level and gain cultural experience. Mia dazzled with 2 goals and 3 assists, while Grace notched 2 assists from the blue line. Other forwards to have lined up for the Diamonds last season were CJ Ashton, who was on a 2-way deal with the Altrincham Aces, Ishbel Wright, who enjoyed a similar arrangement with Sheffield Shadows, and Sutton Sting junior Melissa Veal. GB University International Ketz Robinson, Nottingham-based Grace Ralphs, youngsters Kate Taylor and Evie Wenger, along with Phoebe Maffa, also appeared last season and could well re-sign again for this campaign. With Beth Diascoon and Holly Cornford leaving over the summer, a lot will be asked of Durham-born Helen Emerson to provide the veteran leadership on the blue line. Helen spent her junior years split between Billingham, Newcastle Vipers and Whitley Bay, and made her senior debut with the Billingham Wildcats in 2011, before splitting her time with both Kingston and the then Whitley Squaws between 2013 and 15. She moved to the Diamonds full-time ahead of the 2015-16 season, where she has worn the A on her jersey every year since. Helen also played for GB, where she was part of the World Championship tournaments of 2014 and 2015. After that, the Diamonds have a young defensive core led by Jess Wooding, who has developed into one of the top young blue liners in the country. Having represented GB at under-18 level, Jess began her junior career with Bracknell Ice Bees and Streatham in 2017, before moving north a year later and splitting her time between Bradford and Kingston. Jess made her senior Diamonds debut during the 2021-22 season and was also a part of the Diamonds under-16s team that made the playoff final that June. Jess will miss the start of the Elite League season as she continues to recover from knee ligament surgery, but she hopes to be back on the ice for club and country as soon as is possible. Another talented young defender is Grace Cooper, who had a breakout year last season. Grace has spent her junior years with teams in Sheffield, Bradford, Kingston and most recently Leeds, and made her senior debut 2 years ago, posting ice time with both the A and B teams in the top two tiers of the WNIHL. Grace reads the game very well, and her speed allows her to transition offensively with pace. She is one player to look out for this season. Others to appear on the Diamonds blue line last year were former Milton Keynes Falcons player B. Lester, who began her second stint with the club last year, making 16 appearances, former Sheffield junior Gemma Wallace, and youngsters Louisa Keller, Heather Clarkson and Olivia Turner. In goal, the Diamonds can rely on Libby Bird, who spent last season on a two-way deal with Sutton Sting and is one of the top young goalies in the country. Former Leeds Knights junior Georgina Ashton served as Libby's backup after making her Diamonds debut the previous year for the Division 1 side, while exciting youngster Emily Johnson made 3 appearances in the Elite League to complement what was a successful season with the Div 2 and under-16 sides. With the number of talented youngsters on their elite roster, it is clear to see the Diamonds have one of the best junior setups in the country. Led by coach Tim Heelan, they will rely on their young stars to help bolster their roster again this season. And one thing is guaranteed, there is never an easy game when playing the Diamonds. Just ask Solihull and Queen Bees, who have managed to drop points to the side over the past couple of years. Whitley Bay Beacons come into the 2024-25 season off the back of having their most successful campaign to date. Their 5th place finish represented a great return on all the hard work Steph Towns put into building her hometown club up. However, this season the Tyneside-based outfit will have to do without the services of 4 key players. Louise Adams joined during the second half of last season, but was instrumental in helping the Beacons avoid a relegation playoff. Her link-up with fellow GB internationals Towns and Abby Coulshaw proved very productive as the trio combined for 60 points. Depth forward Kimberly Brennan will be another miss, capable of playing on either wing for the second or third line, as well as providing a strong work ethic. The Prestwick-born player will ice for Caledonia in Division 1 this season. Ever-reliable defender Emma Dixon is another to not return, while perhaps the biggest shock was that of Megan Craig is taking some time away from hockey. One of the top young goalies in the country, it is truly sad to see Megan hang up her blocker, for now at least. Thankfully, most of the other players are returning. That includes Abby Coulshaw, who was awarded Best Forward and Most Valuable Player at the club's presentation evening. The Beacons captain was in inspired form as she put behind a ludicrous submission from the GB squad to finish as second top scorer in the league. The Darwin-born winger's 19 goals and 30 points was only bettered by Solihull's Jodie Alderson-Smith. Abby, who also ices for the Bradford Bulldogs in NIHL 2 North, brings a hard-working style coupled with unbelievable playmaking skills to go with her goal-scoring threat. Her long-time line-mate is club-leading point scorer Steph Towns, who is closing in on the 600 points mark. Steph finished with 20 points last season and led the season in assists with 13. Steph took home the Goal of the Season award last season after her long-range snipe at home to Streatham back in November set her side on the way to a much-needed first victory of the season. Usually completing the top line is Kilmarnock-born Ruby Newlands, who will once again be representing GB at both senior and under-18 level this year. The Ruby Rocket has devastating speed, which can be the undoing of many defences up and down the country. But her puck control is also something to behold. Ruby spent last season on a two-way deal with Kingston Diamonds in Division 1 and is expected to ice for both sides once again this year. Having all three players back and firing on all cylinders will be vital if the Beacons want to avoid the relegation playoff once again. Veteran centre Becky Castner-Wood, who ended last season as fourth top scorer, is another welcome returnee. Becky took home the Players' Player and the Deborah Penny Memorial Award from the presentation night, just recognition for someone who continues to play at a high level of hockey whilst making those around her even better. Former Whitley junior Danielle Turnbull returned for her role alongside Castner-Wood on the second line. Her hard work around the crease will always see her in a position to bag goals, but her unselfish attitude is another quality she has in abundance. Danielle was voted Unsung Hero of the Year for 2023-24. East Kilbride forward Claire Turnbull returns for her third season on Tyneside and can line up on either wing or at centre. She took home the Coach's Award for last season. Having appeared as a forward as well as in goal for the Beacons last year, Lucy Gruber is another welcome returnee. The former GB goaltender is signing as a forward, but with the possibility to also serve as backup in goal if required. Lucy is something of a secret weapon as a forward, having faced the Beacons at the end of the 2022-23 season for the Milton Keynes Falcons, playing on the right wing. Three more players to return are all from north of the border in Scotland. The fast and skillful Maya Lowe and Emily Luck, who was part of the GB University side that played in Lake Placid and was also a former member of the Solway Sharks, both return on two ways from Caledonia, while Coatbridge-born Amanda McWilliams also returns, having played for Solway Sharks in 2017. Casey Trowell's return from Sweden for the final 12 games of last season gave the club a massive boost to the blue line. The news that the South Shields-born defender is staying with the Beacons for the whole of the campaign is perhaps the best news they could have had. Having added 6 points on her return to the Elite League, Casey will also be icing for the Billingham Buccaneers this season. Voted as last season's best defender, Caitlin Morrison returns on a two-way deal with Caledonia. The Belfast-born player has represented both Ireland and GB at international level and is equally at home on the blue line as she is at forward. Known as Mooney, she has eyes for GB under-18s at 3 World Championships, Team Ireland at last year's IIHF Development Cup, the much-vaunted Ontario Hockey Academy in Canada, the Belfast Giants Juniors and SNL sides in our homeland, as well as representing GB's university team and at senior level when appearing during the Four Nations tournament in Denmark. Like a fine wine that gets better with age, Rachel Stockdale came into last season brimming with confidence, and it showed, with some important performances added to her no-nonsense style of patrolling the blue line. Stockers is a popular member of the team and is looking forward for another crack at the Elite League. Natural leader Vicky Smith added more points last season as she proved an offensive threat from the point. She is another welcome return along with Caitlin Stocks, who was named Most Improved Player from last season. With Megan Craig retiring over the summer, a familiar face takes over between the pipes. Former GB international Sam Bolwell, who stood in for Megan while she was injured last season, will take over on a full-time basis. Sam has spent the most recent seasons playing in the men's league with the Bradford Bulldogs, but returns to the WNIHL, having previously played for Kingston. There are 5 new players set to make their Beacons debut. Emma Lamberton comes in from North Ayr Juniors. She is a GB under-18 international and was on the same forward line as Ruby Newlands at the most recent World Championships in Heronvane. A further reinforcement comes in from Scotland in the form of Aberdeen-based Jess Bridger, arriving on a 2-way deal from Caledonia. Wee Jess, as she is known, was joint top scorer and second top point scorer for the Steel Queens last season with 12 goals and 20 points. Nottingham-born Jade Cheeto is perhaps best known for her off-ice role with Team GB, having last played during the 2017-18 season with Nottingham Vipers. Prior to that, Jade spent 7 seasons in the top flight, 5 years with Sheffield and 2 with Solihull. Also joining the team will be 2 youngsters to have come through the Beacons in-house junior development programme. Under-16s captain Heidi Dunn is a top defensive prospect, although she spent much of last season as a forward and will be able to play in the Elite League against Kingston, having already celebrated her 14th birthday recently. Heidi's cousin, Evie Tyndale, will have to wait a few weeks longer to make her debut, but is an exciting player who scored 16 goals in 7 games for the Baby Beacons last season. Evie has hockey in her blood. Her father played league hockey for the Sunderland Chiefs and Whitley Warriors, having came through the much-vaunted Durham Wasps junior system prior to that, while her mother Kerry is a legend of the women's game, who went on to have a glittering coaching career too. All 4 of Kerry's brothers played hockey for the Warriors, with her eldest brother Wayne being Heidi's father, and Heidi's older brother Ethan having recently made his Warriors debut too. It means both girls come from a true hockey dynasty. They are the first of what is hoped to be a long line of players to arrive into the Elite League from this particular production line. Around the time the Beacons and Kingston will be playing their third period, Streatham Storm will be getting their campaign underway when they host Guildford Lightning. The two sides split the season series with 2 wins each last time out. Streatham took the first game 7-0 at the Spectrum on what was just the second weekend of the season. Izzy Whitley scored a hat-trick, with Beth Milne, Jamie Andritzi, Estelle Ip and Chantal Eyre also found at the net. When the two sides met again in December, it was Guildford who posted a 4-3 road win. They came from behind 3 times to eventually claim the points. Izzy Zizinska, Cara Jones, May Sullivan and Beth Hill scoring for the Lightning, with Jamie Andritzi, Chantal Eyre and Isabel Whiteley getting the goals for the Storm. Streatham took a 2-1 home win in March, but the game would end in controversy. Gillian Fales netted her first goal for the South London side, which should have been the game winner, after Izzy Whiteley had cancelled out Margot Sear's opener earlier on. However, Yuk Ting Lau, who was named on the game sheet after having already featured for the Storm's Division 2 side, was deemed illegal, and so the result and points were reversed into a Lightning victory. The final meeting was in May, where Izzy Zizinska gave the Lightning the lead. Lucy Ebbinger got the Storm back level, but Beth Hill scored a late winner, which confirmed the Lightning's involvement in the playoffs and the Storm's place in the relegation playoff. Having successfully retained their place in the top flight, Streatham have been busy adding to their roster. Captain Isabel Whiteley returns after she led the Storm in scoring last year with 12 goals and 19 points. Hong Kong forward Estelle Ip had a strong season too, with 10 goals and 15 points. Chantal Eyre, who had 11 points before an injury, saw her miss 6 games during the run into her season, has since returned to Solent. The legendary Ange Taylor continues to be an offensive threat, while American Jane Andrill was a welcome new signing last year too. Both return along with Canadian pair Gillian Fales and Christina McLean, who chipped in with their share of points too. Hard-working winger Lucy Ebbinger, along with Viv McGee and Canadian Maria Murray, provide plenty of depth and steel to the lineup, while the likes of Yuk Ting Lau, Jen Lawrence, Robin Quinn and Zuzana Dobrovolna are all expected to re-sign. Coming in are Laura Cope, who bagged 8 points for a Div 2 side last year, Chelmsford superstar Connie Fiedler, and Firebees youngster Rachel Campion. Defensively, Storm will have to do without Jamie Andritzi this season after a Canadian-born GB international announced her pregnancy over the summer. Jo Lee Hao Chong and Beth Milne will be looked towards to provide experience, while it hasn't been announced yet whether youngster Amy Robbery is returning for this season. One who is returning is South African international Kelly Jameson, who had a great start to last season but missed a few games during the second half of the campaign. Marquee signing is that of GB under-18 international defender Katie Dadd, who makes a move from Queen Bees and has made appearances for all 3 of the Elite League sides now over the past 4 seasons. Storm used 3 goalies last season, with Naomi Healy playing most regularly and having featured in half the games. The Tokyo-born shot-stopper ended the campaign with a run of games under her belt and appeared in the relegation playoff, where she helped secure her team's place in the Elite League for another season. Sarah Harrison started the season between the pipes, sadly doesn't appear to have been re-signed for 2024-25. Youngster Charlotte Horvath appeared 5 times and continues to make a name for herself as a great young prospect, while coming in is Canadian Julia Bevan, who hails from Seaforth, Ontario. Julia has spent the last 5 seasons in NCAA Division III with Alvernia University. Queen Bees have the opening weekend off, but last season's double winners will be looking to repeat the achievement once again. Gareth Endicott returns as coach with the dual responsibility of coaching the Swindon Top Cats in Division 1 as well. But there has been quite an overhaul on players from the one that was victorious in Sheffield back in June. Much of their success from last season was down to the incredible form of GB pair Rachel Cartwright and Catherine Gale, who combined for 53 points between them. Rachel's 17 goals led her team and placed her 4th in the elite scoring leaders. Both return and will once again be looked to for on-ice leadership. Losing Chrissy Newman to a double ACL injury is not just devastating to the Queen Bees, but also to Team GB and to hockey in general. However, helping to offset that loss is the signing of Louise Adams, who also helped coach the team last season. One of the standout stars from last year was Ellie Wallace, who put up 11 goals and 20 points last season, since returning from her year away with Torpa S. Turku of Finland. Ellie is developing into one of the most dominant players in the women's game right now, and is certainly exciting to watch whenever she is on the ice. Wisconsin-born forward Megan Stouts is another expected to return, but hasn't been announced as yet. Playing centre on the top line is Lily Endicott, who returns for a 3rd year on a 2-way contract from Swindon Top Cats. Lily had a great playoffs, scoring in the final. Still only 16, Lily plays like she belongs on a star-studded team full of senior GB internationals. Fellow youngster Talia Davidson-Wright returns for her 3rd season with the Queen Bees. Talia is also a GB under-18 international too, and is one of the top young players in the country, developing into a leadership role with the Firebees as well. Talia is undoubtedly an exciting talent and one to watch out for this season. Isabel Bennett made her senior debut at Whitley Bay during the 2021-22 season, before making the step up permanently the following year, where she went on to have an impressive season. She splits her time with the Firebees, where the additional ice time will expedite her development. Millie Georgie was a welcome addition last season, having spent previous campaigns with her hometown club, Milton Keynes Falcons. This will be Millie's 7th season with the club over 2 stints, after making her debut during the 2014-15 season. Ellie Wakelin only appeared 4 times last season, ruling her out of performing at the playoffs, but she returns with the ability of being equally at home on the blue line as she is in a forward role. The Chelmsford-born player will be on a 2-way deal with the Romford Buccaneers. Perhaps the biggest offensive loss is that of Nora Egri, who crosses the pond to play for a school in the United States. The Hungarian wonderkid made her mark in the Elite League last season, netting what proved to be the goal of the season against the Beacons and putting up 9 points for the Queen Bees. She added another 17 for Swindon, but will leave a gap in the roster. Talented youngsters Josie Clark-Pyatt and Izzy Eggington have both departed the club for Guildford, while the defence has took a massive hit to their lineup too. Playoff final MVP Sophie Games heads to Salem State in Division 3 of the NCAA at a time when she was putting in a string of dominant performances in the Elite League. Katie Dadd has switched allegiance to Streatham, and Abby Fay is likely out for the season after suffering a serious ACL injury. Thankfully, they can rely upon top defender Abby Sylvester, who is nothing short of a phenomenon. Her 23 points from the blue line is a warning of the threats she can pose. Not least the 2 worldies she netted from distance in the 2023 playoff final. Abby is, for me, the best defender in the women's game right now. She's quite simply dominant, and it's a privilege to watch her on the ice. Hannah Byram and Amelia Williams have been their usual reliable and consistent selves, and both have returned for another season. Unsung hero Hannah is back for her 6th campaign with the Queen Bees, having started out with Basingstoke Bison Ladies during the 2016-17 season, while Amelia's positional sense and defensive prowess grows every week. Coming in to offset those defensive losses are a couple of young defenders that coach Gareth Endicott knows well from his Swindon Top Cat side. Amazingly, Ellie Shaw only made her elite debut late last season as a guest for Guildford against Solihull. She promptly netted on her only appearance to date in the top flight, but more are sure to follow as she loves to get forward and join the rush. Her Top Cats teammate Marley Drazy is another promising youngster. The Welsh-born defender is another who looks to have a bright future in the game. Completing the new arrivals is Charlotte Edgar, who was previously played for Sheffield Shadows before taking some years away from the sport. Goalie Amelia McGinley returns for a third season, having been on the winning side of the playoff finals for the past 3 seasons. Last year saw Amelia suffer some injury problems, but the Swindon-born shot-stopper continually proves she is one of the best in the business, and her lightning-quick reactions mean she is near unbeatable at times. At the end of season awards, Rachel Cartwright was named Best Forward, with Abby Sylvester as Best Defender. Catherine Gale was named MVP, while both Catherine and Rachel shared the Players' Player Award. Ellie Wallace received the Coaches' Player Award, with Sophie Games named the Most Improved. In other news, local radio station Beverley FM Sport have announced they will be providing some coverage of the Kingston Diamonds throughout this season. This is great news, and along with the Tyneside-based Nova Radio North East, we are starting to see increased media coverage of women's hockey in the UK now. Coming up next, we have an interview with Whitley Bay Beacons forward Sally Hinton, as she explains what got her into playing hockey, as well as looking at her professional golfing career, and more. I'm here with PGA professional Sally Hinton. First of all, Sally, thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks, Adam, and thanks for asking me to be on.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, a lot of people know you from playing ice hockey for the Whitley Bay Beacons, but your day job, as it were, is as a golf professional. So we're going to talk about that today. So let's start at the beginning then. What first got you interested in playing golf?
Well, golf's a big part of my family. All my family play. My dad, uncle and my grandfather have all been golf pros. So I didn't have much choice getting into it, and it's just always been part of my life, golf. We lived on the golf course with my dad's job, and I can't really remember learning. Yeah, it must be a wonderful way of getting involved in the sport. So it's from a young age that you took this interest. When did you start playing competitively? I think I was probably around about 11 or 12 when I started to do competitions. That's when I got my first handicap, and I was involved in the golf down in Shropshire. That's where I grew up. And I played for the junior team at my club and county, and for the ladies' county as well. And as you got a little bit older, you went out and studied in America, and that gave you the opportunity to also play golf. So what was that experience like? Oh yeah, that's right. I went to Missouri State University on a golf scholarship. That was from 2003 to 7, and that was brilliant. All the experience I had there were just amazing, and all the kids that I now coach, I encourage them to do the same. Get yourself out to the States if you can for golf. It was brilliant. Better weather, better facilities. My game really came on, and I met some lifelong friends. Yeah, America's wonderful. I've been there myself, and what's perhaps I've noticed out there is just how big golf is in the States, isn't it? Yeah, no, it is massive. It's really popular, and it was just brilliant to be there. Like I said, it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. That's great to hear. And now, post-grad, you moved back to the UK, and you relocated to the North East. So how did that come about? That's right. Well, when I finished university, I wanted to get into coaching. So I did my PGA qualification down in Shropshire, and I looked for a full-time coaching role, and that's what brought me to Newcastle. Close House was just opening a new golf academy, and they were looking for a pro. So I applied, and the rest is history. I've worked there for the last 14 years. Yeah, and so time goes by pretty quick. We was discussing that off air before. So, I mean, how have you enjoyed your time up here so far? I loved it. I do love it. Sorry, I love the North East. The people are so friendly, and the facility at Close House and for the coaching is second to none. Obviously, I'm happy there because of the time, having worked there the last 14 years. But the owner, Graham, has always been really investing in the facilities. Sir Graham, sorry. Yes, yes. And it's never stood still. We've always been getting the latest equipment and things, so it's a really good place to work. Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, quite a modern facility as well. So what's your sort of weekly work schedule look like then, traditionally? I do a lot of individual lessons, one-to-one, but I do a lot of group as well. One of my main passions and focuses is women's coaching. So I do a lot with getting new women and girls into the sport, And obviously for the women's side, it's not just about the golf, there's a social element, so I do a lot of things with afternoon tea or coffees and lunches, and it's been really popular. There's lots of new girls and women coming through at Close House, which is great.
Yeah, that's great to see. There's a huge movement, isn't there, over the last few years with women in sport, and golf's another one, and you're kind of part of that movement in getting more women and girls involved in the sport.
Yeah, I think that it's a really exciting time. I mean, you look at the Lionesses, and actually going to the game on the 31st at St James's, looking forward to that. But golf's the same. There's a big push across all sports, getting more women into it, getting more girls into it. I think it's a really exciting time.
It really is. Now, talking of that movement within sport, we mentioned at the start of the interview you also play ice hockey for Whitley Bay Beacon. So how did you get involved in that?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one, because when I tell my colleagues and clients at work that I play another sport, it's ice hockey, they are shocked, to play golf and ice hockey. I think I dabbled in roller hockey growing up. I used to go to like a kids camp in the holidays and do roller hockey, and when I was in the States I played a little bit of roller hockey. When I came back, I realised there weren't really many roller hockey clubs around. This is when I was in Newcastle, but I thought, oh well, ice hockey, I'll give that a go. So that was that, yeah.
Well, that's great. So we're saying around about 2016
that's
you started,
right. Yeah, first went, yeah.
And you came in as essentially like a beginner, didn't you? But got to play with some famous players on the top line, so that must have been a good experience.
It was brilliant. I think I started training in 2016, but I don't think I played on the team 2018. And yeah, I played on the top line with Steph and Abby, and it was just I had sort of pinched myself playing with two GB stars. Yeah. It was brilliant, and they've been so encouraging and supportive, and just with Steph particularly, how she's brought the club on from one team to two, and it's going from strength to strength thanks to her and the team.
Yeah, and around about 2021, there was that split between the club. There was a lot of players. The team had just got Elite League status, and then the second team was introduced, which, alongside the likes of Joy Hurst, you're kind of one of the more experienced leadership group of that team, as it were, because there's a lot of youngsters and newbies coming in. So what's that been like for you playing on that Div 2 side?
Oh, it's great, yeah, to have the development side. I think when the team split, it was good because it meant we were all going to get more ice time. As a less experienced or able player, I'm happier in the Div 2 team, and Joy's great. She's our captain. She's a real leader, and alongside, Paige and the rest of the team, it's great. I love being part of it.
Yeah, well, and that's great to see. Now, we also mentioned before on air, you're someone who loves various different sports and you're getting involved. You mentioned you just started taking up snooker as well.
That's right, yeah.
That's your latest venture, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just fascinated by all sports. I like to learn the rules of the sport and how they work and the real ins and outs. And yeah, I'm very interested in all sports. But I do like hockey because of the team element. Yeah. Other sports like my golf is very individual, and I do like the team spirit and that of the hockey side, yeah.
Yeah, and just going back to golf, you run your own business there. So how's that been going for you recently?
Really good. It's very busy. In demand for lessons, which is great. And it's going from strength to strength. Yeah. That's
great. And if there is a female golfer out there who wants to get involved, how can they do that?
I guess anyone wanting to start could get in touch with me via social media, Sally Hinton PGA, and come up to take a lesson. You don't need to have any equipment or special clothes to start golf. You can just come along to the driving range in casual clothes, and I can lend you clubs. So yeah, don't hesitate to get in touch.
Well, that's great, Sally. Thank you for your time, and best of luck with all your ventures.
Thanks, Adam.
That's all for this week then. Join us again next time for part 2 of our season preview.
Please make sure you're following us across all social media platforms
to keep you fully up to date with all things WNIHL.
On Facebook,
follow Ice Maidens, the voice of women's ice hockey,
and check out the website at icemaidens.wordpress.com.
On Instagram and on Twitter,
you can find the podcast
at ZPG Ice Maidens,
and for YouTube,
you can subscribe to Zero Pucks Given.
Please like, follow, share and subscribe.
It all does wonders for spreading the good word
of the ZPG network.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Connection is a healthy and essential aspect of our daily lives. From a warm hug after a hard day to kind words just when we need them, these gentle moments give us an understanding of life's true meaning. But when the ability to connect is interrupted by the hustle of daily life and to-do lists pile up next to the worry of who needs school supplies, sometimes making decisions about our health and the well-being of our loved ones can take a back seat. When it comes to those we care for, vaccines are one of the greatest public health success stories, and along with other measures, are one way to help prevent certain diseases. At Merck, we envision communities where families, healthcare providers, local organizations, and advocates work together. Health equity happens when every person, regardless of age and ethnicity, in every community, has fair access to healthcare, including the vaccines they need. For more information, please visit whyvaccines.com.